I'm here with Joe Rotella, our tool guy. Now, Joe is also a huge Gen Con teacher. You teach these giant classes, and there's a lot of cosplay involved, and you have made this amazing hat, and the one I'm wearing too, and you're gonna show us how to do it.
And it's so easy. It's so fun to make them and to decorate them. And believe it or not, this is the same stuff that I attach to heating and cooling vents in my house. Yeah, it's duct tape. And we're going to use it to basically build the entire hat. What we need to start with is basically a piece of fabric.
Okay.
And I've got some little samples here. The fabric is easy to make. I suggest you do it on a mat like this.
I noticed, by the way, that you're cutting the tape rather than ripping it. Is that so that you have the neat edges?
I like a nice straight edge. You have to, this is where helpers.
I was going to say, can I put my finger here so that the tape doesn't stick to you and it sticks to me instead?
Ooh, can I put one over your whole finger and everything? It can be really fun. This is a great project like this. So I'm just trying to show you the overall concept of how to make a fabric. I'm basically just putting pieces together that overlap.
Okay, and you're not worried about if they're all exactly the same length or anything like that.
I have to be honest, I didn't even worry about if they're perfectly straight and things like that.
I have to tell you, I love this beautiful teal color. I have been painting everything teal lately. I think teal is amazing, and I also happen to have some tape at home I know that has like leopard print. I mean, you could go really wild with this.
So basically you're going to go in this sort of pattern, row by row by row, and I would do now some facing the sticky side down. And again, we want some kind of overlap there, so I'm going to leave 1/4 inch.
But that's interesting. So I noticed I would have naturally put it up against the line, but actually now that I think about it, that would create a bump. And so by leaving a little bit of space, you're making sure that you don't create a bump.
We don't want a bump.
Just into each other by accident.
Yep. So see how this process works, row by row by row? And you're making a fabric. Now we can cut all sorts of things out of this. Wallets, patches, you name it.
I've seen entire prom dresses, clothes, cosplay outfits.
Amazing.
It's amazing because once you create your own durable fabric, then you can do whatever you want.
So that's the concept for the fabric. We need to know how much fabric we need. So all you do is take a tape measure and measure your head. Mine is about 24 inches. And decide the height of your hat. The one I'm wearing is about 7 inches. I think that's a nice hat. This is a little shorter. It's 6 inches. So I need a piece of this fabric 24 by 6 or 7. And all you do is keep making it, and then trim it. This is super handy because if you use a rotary tool, this has nice grid lines. You know, you just cut it.
Yeah, you don't even really need to measure.
You can use your scissors, or if you don't have a grid mat, just use a T-square. So I'm going to pull this away. I've got one ready to go.
Look at that beautiful teal.
Isn't it great?
It is.
Now we need to shape this around our head. So you're going to make a pattern.
So you're just going to make a big circle, right?
Well, you know, your head's not really a circle. It's more an oval. And when you get this piece of
paper, I never thought
you have an oval head.
I always thought, there you go. Egghead? That's true. That's true. It's an oval.
So we're going to trace this. Now, I would start with a piece of paper that's at least 14 inches square, 16 inches square, because you can see where I traced the inside, right? That's my oval head. And then I added 2.5 inches to make the brim.
All the way around so that you get a template.
Exactly, exactly.
Very cool.
And then we're going to cut this out. And I have one already cut, ready to go.
So that's your brim, or it's your brim template.
It's my brim template. And I'm going to use it as a guide to kind of hold together the hat. And we need little, I'd say like 1-inch squares.
Okay.
Now this, you're going to leave a lot of these. I mean 50, 100.
Of the 1-inch squares.
It's amazing. I found it easier to just put it on a mat like this.
So you're using a self-healing mat of some kind, so it's safe to cut on.
Now I would probably use a straight edge, but I'm just going to go
make sure it's
like
straight.
This, and then start slicing down.
I have always cut my tape with scissors, and it gets a little bit tricky and difficult to do that. I can see how much easier doing it now with a knife is, because you can make all those little pieces so quickly.
Put this together, and we know it's the right length. I allowed 1/4 inch overlap.
Okay.
You can use one big piece, but I think it's easier to just put a bunch of these 1-inch squares.
You know, I think sometimes people try to get a little lazy by just doing one big piece, but I have found with a lot of things, bookbinding and all sorts of other crafts, that it is much easier if you use small pieces to get it done.
And I'm going to do the outside and the inside. Once we have that done, we need the top of the hat.
Okay.
So we're going to use this same pattern on a very large piece of fabric. trace it and cut both out, you're going to get the top and the brim.
Oh, so this is not garbage.
No, 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 no. Don't throw it away.
Okay.
Don't throw it away.
You're going to use both those parts.
And I have both those parts right here.
Cool.
So we're going to start by putting the top. And I find this easier to do from the inside. You've got a lot of your little 1-inch pieces. You know, I just cut my fingernails. That's the downside. And
I was going to say, I'll get one ready for you.
You're going to put it on the inside and then down against the bottom. And I would do 4, 6 of these. All you're trying to do is get this held in place so you can then work from the top side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because you want to get to the place that you can reach. I can see how your hand can reach in, as opposed to when it gets a little more difficult later.
So let's assume that I have this all, and I wouldn't go all the way around. I maybe would do 4 or 6, then flip it over.
So you're just tacking it in place. It's almost like sewing or stitching.
And then do 4 or 6 or 8 here, flip it over, keep going back and forth until you have your whole top together. And you can see I focus a lot on how to overlap these so they look good.
Oh yeah, and it looks beautiful.
So there's the top part of our hat. Now we're ready for the brim. If we use this as a brim, kind of floppy, and I like how this is permanent, that I can bend it. So we just took a piece of 18 gauge floral wire.
I'm gonna guess that you need one of these little bits
Here's
to
where
go
all these,
ahead
number
and do
50 to
that.
100 of these little
It's
doodahs.
true.
And you're just gonna wrap it right around the top, all the way to the other side.
Okay, well, that was easy. I can do that.
You go all the way around like this. Then you're gonna put this here.
And of course, you can cut any embellishments that you want out with your electronic cutter or whatever else that you're using once you have those sheets to use.
And as a trick, you can just make double-sided fabric and cut stuff out. Then you have to figure out how to stick it.
Right.
I just take the duct tape and put it on strips. This is paper that has an adhesive back. So now when this cuts out, we peel and stick it on, and just add all your other stuff. You have a hat.
That is so cool, and I love the idea that I can embellish it so many ways. This is so cute, so cool. I definitely am stealing this hat.